Auggie and Me, the Shingling chapter, How We Danced. I wish I could describe every second of those 11 minutes on stage, every move, every jump, every shimmy and twist. But of course, I can't. All I can say is that the whole thing went absolutely perfectly. Not one missed cue or fumble. Basically, for 11 solid minutes, it felt like we were dancing 10 feet above the rest of the world. It was the most thrilling, exciting, tiring, emotional, fun, awesome experience of my life. As we ramped up to the big finish, stoplighting to, well, let me tell you, nobody, before bursting into Mrs. Antanaby's signature shingling, which was a variation she invented. I could feel the energy of the entire audience as they clapped along with the song. Nobody, 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 nobody. And then we were done. It was over. Out of breath, beaming from ear to ear. Thunderous applause. The three of us bowed in sync, and then we took our individual bows. The audience hooted and hollered. Our parents were ready with flowers for us, and my mom handed me an extra bouquet, which we gave to Mrs. Antanaby when she came out on stage with us to take a bow. I wished for a second that all the fifth graders who'd ever laughed behind Mrs. Antanaby's back could see her now, right this minute, as I was seeing her, in her beautiful gown, her bun perfectly made. She looked like a queen. How we spent the rest of the night. A little later, after changing out of our costumes, we joined our parents for dinner in the banquet hall downstairs. As we wound our way through the round table of full teachers, other parents, and a lot of grown-ups we didn't know, people congratulated us and complimented our dancing. I thought to myself, this is what it feels like to be famous, and I loved it. Our parents were all sitting together at a table by the time we got there, along with Mrs. Antanaby and her husband. There was a little round of applause from them as we sat down. And then, basically, we spent the rest of the evening talking to each other nonstop, breaking down every second of the dance, where we'd been nervous about not making a particular kick, where we'd gotten a little dizzy coming out of a spin. Before dinner was served, Dr. Jansen, the headmaster of the school, gave a short speech thanking everyone for coming to the benefit, and then asked Mrs. Antanaby, as well as the choir teacher and the jazz teacher, to stand up for another round of applause. Zima, Summer, and I cheered as loud as we could. Then he talked about other things like financial goals and fundraising and stuff that was so boring, but I couldn't wait for him to stop. Later, after we'd finished our salads, Mr. Tushman made a speech about the importance of supporting the arts at Beecher Prep, so the school could continue to nurture the kind of talent they'd watch tonight. And this time he asked all the students who had performed tonight to stand up again for another round of applause. Around the room, kids from the jazz ensemble and choir stood up with varying degrees of willingness and shyness. The three of us, though, weren't the least bit shy about standing up for another round of applause. What can I say? Bring it on. By the time coffee was being served, all the speeches were over, and people had started walking around and mingling. I saw one couple come over to our table, but I couldn't remember who they were until Summer jumped out of her seat to hug them. Then I knew. Augie's parents. They kissed Summer's mom and then circled around to me and Zima. You guys were amazing, Augie's mom said sweetly. Thank you so much, I answered, smiling. You must be so proud of them, Augie's dad said to Mrs. Antanaby, who was next to Summer. I am, Mrs. Antanaby said, beaming. They worked so hard. Congrats again, girls, said Augie's mom, giving my shoulder a little squeeze before making her way back to Summer's mom. Say hi to Auggie for me, I called out. We will. Wait, those were Augie's parents? Zima said. They look like movie stars. I know, I whispered back. What are you guys whispering about? Said Summer, coming between us. She didn't know they were Augie's parents, I explained. Oh, said Summer. His parents are so nice. It's really ironic, said Zima. They're so good looking. Have you ever seen Augie's big sister? I said. She's super pretty. Like, she could be a model. It's crazy. Wow, said Zima. I guess I thought I don't. No, I thought they all look kind of like Auggie. No, said Summer gently. It's like with your brother. It's just how he was born. Zima nodded slowly. I could tell, smart as she was, she'd never thought of it like that before. How I fell asleep, finally. We didn't get home until pretty late that night. I was super tired, and as I washed off all the makeup from my face and got ready for bed. But then, I don't know why, I couldn't fall asleep. All the night's events kept crashing over me like soft waves. I felt the way you feel like when you're on a boat, rocking back and forth. My bed was floating in an ocean. About a half an hour of tossing and turning, I picked up my phone from where it was charging on my nightstand. Anyone up? I texted Summer and Zima. It was after midnight. I'm sure they were asleep. Just wanted you guys to know that I think you're the two most amazing people in the world, and I'm glad that we got to be such good friends for a while. I'll always remember this night. It's the shingling, baby! I put the phone back on the nightstand and karate chopped my pillow just to make it comfy. I closed my eyes, hoping sleep would come. Just as I felt myself finally drifting off, my phone buzzed. It wasn't Zima or Summer. Weirdly enough, it was Ellie. Hey, Charlie, I'm sure you're sleeping, but my parents just came home from the gala and said you guys were absolutely unbelievably incredible. Proud of you. Wish I could have been there to see you dance. You deserve it. Let's try to hang out after school next week. Miss you. It sounds stupid, but her text made me so happy. Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. Thanks so much, Ellie, I texted back. Wish you could have been there too. Would love to hang out next week. Miss you too. Good night. How Maya was surprised and surprised us all. I woke up feeling so exhausted the next morning. Mom let me go to school late. I saw that both Zima and Summer had texted me first thing in the morning. Zima Chin. I feel the same way, Charlotte. What a night. Summer Dawson. I love you too. I didn't text them back because I knew they were in class. I missed the first 3 periods and didn't see either of them until after lunch. Summer, as usual, was sitting with Auggie and Jack, and Zima, as usual, was at the Savannah table. For a fraction of a second, I was going to go over and say hello to Zima, but the image of Maya standing in front of that same group of kids yesterday was still fresh in my head, and I didn't want to give Zima even the sliver of chance of disappointing me with anything but a friendly hello. So I waved to her and Summer as I walked over to my usual table and sat down next to Maya. The girls at my table had asked me how last night had gone. Some of them had heard about it from their parents, but I spared them too many details because I knew they'd lose interest after about 30 seconds, which is exactly what happened. Not that I could blame them, really. The main thing on their minds, in fact, the only thing they wanted to talk about, was the note that Maya had given to Ellie in Caraval. That note, it turned out, which by now had been quoted or read aloud by half the grade, was Maya's first ticket to a kind of popularity she'd never experienced before. People were talking about her. Kids were pointing her out to curious 6th graders who had also heard about the note. I'm the queen of the underdogs today, Maya said to herself. I could tell she felt triumphant. She liked the attention she was getting. I had intended to tell her how hurt Zima had been by her note, how it made her cry, but in a strange way, I also didn't want to rain on Maya's parade. Hey, you, said Summer, nudging me so I could scoot over. Hey, I said, surprised to see her there. I looked over at the table, but Auggie and Jack had already left. Hi, Summer, said Maya eagerly. Did you hear about my note? Summer smiled. Yes, I did. Did you like it? Maya asked. I could tell Summer didn't want to hurt Maya's feelings either, so she hesitated in answering. Where's Auggie and Jack? I interjected. Working on some top secret notes to leave in Julian's locker, she answered. A note like mine? Said Maya. Summer looked at her and shook her head. I don't think so. Love notes from someone named Balua. Who's Balua? I said. Summer laughed. It's too hard to explain. I noticed that Zima was looking at us from all the way across the cafeteria. I smiled at her. She smiled back. Then, to my surprise, she got up and walked over to our table. Everyone at the table stopped talking as soon as they saw her standing there. Without even being asked, Megan and Rand scooted apart and Zima sat down between them, directly opposite Maya, me, and Summer. Maya was completely shocked. Her eyes were wide open, and she almost looked a little scared. I had no idea what would happen next. Zima clasped her hands in front of her, leaned forward, and looked straight at Maya. Maya, she said, I just want to apologize if I ever said or done anything to insult you. I never meant to, if that's the case. I actually think you were a really nice person and super smart and interesting. And I really hope that we can be friends from now on. Maya blinked, and she didn't say anything. Her mouth was literally hanging open. Anyway, said Zima, now seeming a little shy, I just wanted to tell you that. That's so nice of you, Zima, said Summer, smiling. Zima looked at us with that winking expression of hers. It's the shingling, baby, she said, which made us both smile. Then, as quickly as she sat down with us, she got up and walked back to her table. I looked out of the corner of my eye and saw Ellie and Savannah watching her. As soon as she sat down at her table, they came in close to hear what she had to say. Wasn't that so nice of her? Wasn't it? Summer said to Maya. I'm in shock, answered Maya, taking her glasses off to wipe them. Totally shocked. Summer gave me a knowing look. Maya, whatever happened to that giant game of dots you were working on? I said. Oh, I have it here, she answered eagerly. I told you I was waiting until you were around to play it. Why? You want to play it now? Yeah, I answered. I do. Me too, said Summer. Maya gasped, grabbed her backpack, and pulled out a tube of paper that was folded in thirds and slightly bent at the top. We watched her unfold it and carefully unwind the sheet of paper, which took up the entire width and length of the lunch table. When it was completely stretched out, we all looked at it, stunned. There wasn't 1 square inch of the gigantic paper that wasn't covered in dots. Perfectly drawn, evenly spaced dots. But not just dots. Beautiful grid patterns connected by swirls, waves of lines that ended in spirals or flowers or sunbursts. It was almost like tattoo art, the way the blue ink can cover someone's arm so completely. You don't know where one tattoo starts and another one ends. It was the most unbelievably beautiful game of dots I'd ever seen. Maya, this is incredible, I said slowly. Yeah, she said happily. I know.